What if one day you needed help and no one answered? It's a tough thought, but one that many older adults quietly live with. Across the country, millions of seniors live alone. While independence can be empowering, it often comes with risks that aren't always obvious. In fact, more than a quarter of older adults now live by themselves, many managing daily life with growing concerns about safety, sudden emergencies, and the weight of isolation. So, how can you remain secure and confident when you're on your own? If you or someone you love is aging solo, these 5 essential steps can truly make a difference. Let's talk about Edward, a 75-year-old retired carpenter who's been living alone since his wife passed away. He's proud of the life he's built, cooks for himself, keeps a tidy garden, and handles small repairs around the house. But over time, a few quiet fears have crept in. What if he trips and can't get to a phone? What if someone tries to scam him? What if no one even notices if something goes wrong? His situation isn't rare. But Edward didn't ignore those concerns. She made a few smart changes that any senior can learn from. In the next few minutes, we'll share 5 crucial ways to protect your safety and peace of mind while living independently. Before we dive into those steps, take a second to click like if you find this topic important. It helps others discover these tips too. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time we share practical advice to help you stay strong and secure after 60. Let's get started. Living alone does come with freedom, but it also carries risks, many of which don't become obvious until it's too late. For older adults, a single unexpected moment can change everything. That's why it's so important to understand the biggest dangers and what you can do to stay ahead of them. First, let's talk about medical emergency situations where every second counts. Picture this. Edward wakes up one morning feeling faint. He shrugs it off, but later in the day, he's slurring his words and struggling to reach his phone. It's a scenario that plays out far too often. Strokes, falls, heart attacks, these events can escalate quickly. And when no one's nearby to help, the results can be devastating. 1 out of every 4 seniors experiences a fall each year. And for those living alone, even a minor injury can become serious. A fractured hip or a head bump can suddenly mean weeks of recovery, or worse if help doesn't arrive in time. Even something like low blood sugar can become life-threatening if not addressed quickly. Next, there's personal security. Older adults are frequently targeted by scammers and criminals. Edward once received a call from someone pretending to be from his bank, warning him of suspicious activity. They asked for his account information, but he sensed something was off and hung up. Unfortunately, many seniors aren't so lucky. Scams involving fake IRS agents, urgent messages from supposed relatives, and fraudulent tech support calls trick thousands every year, costing them dearly. And it's not just about money. Physical home security is just as important. People living alone, especially older adults, are often seen as vulnerable. A house without motion lights, a door without a solid lock, or an open window at night can be an open invitation. Without the right precautions, these risks add up fast. There's one threat to seniors that's often overlooked but just as serious as any medical condition: loneliness. After his wife passed, Edward found himself eating dinner in silence, missing the warmth of evening conversations they once shared. The days grew quieter. Sometimes he would go nearly a week without speaking to anyone. At first, he chalked it up to a normal adjustment, but slowly, his energy dipped. He felt more fatigued, less focused, and began forgetting small things. What he didn't realize is that this wasn't just grief, it was a deeper, invisible danger. Research shows that long-term isolation significantly raises the risk of depression, heart problems, and even cognitive decline. Our brains crave interaction, just as our bodies crave movement. That's why it's so important to act before a crisis forces change. Unfortunately, too many older adults wait until a fall happens, until money goes missing in a scam, or until a health scare pushes them into the hospital. By then, options are fewer, and recovery is harder. But the good news is this: staying safe and connected doesn't mean giving up your independence. In fact, a few small changes can create a solid safety net, and Edward is proof of that. Let's start with the first step: setting up a daily check-in. It might sound simple, but this one routine can be life-saving. For someone living alone, a stroke, a slip, or even a fainting spell can quickly become dangerous if no one notices. That's why Edward decided to create a small but meaningful habit. Every morning he sends a brief message to his neighbor, Frank. Sometimes it's just a "morning" or "doing fine today." They agreed that if Frank doesn't hear from him by a certain time, he'll follow up. It's a small effort, but it means that someone is always aware, and help won't be far if something goes wrong. The benefit doesn't end with health. A daily check-in can also help prevent mistakes in judgment, especially when it comes to scams or uninvited visitors. If Edward gets an odd phone call, or someone shows up claiming to be from a company he didn't contact, he talks it over with Frank. Having someone to run these things by makes it easier to stay cautious and confident, and you don't have to rely on memory alone to make this work. If texting feels like a hassle, there are apps designed for daily check-ins that send automatic alerts when there's no response. Smart home technology can also play a role. Some devices can detect lack of movement and notify a trusted contact. What matters most is consistency. Whether it's a phone call after breakfast, a text before bedtime, or simply waving through the window, creating a daily rhythm adds a quiet layer of safety to your day. Best of all, it doesn't require a major change to your lifestyle. Just a few minutes, a tiny bit of effort, and the result is peace of mind for both you and the people who care about you. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with the next safety step in the series. Staying safe doesn't have to mean giving up your freedom or moving in with family. Sometimes, just knowing there's someone checking in on you is enough to bring peace of mind. And this kind of support isn't just useful for seniors. People of all ages, especially those with health concerns or living in remote areas, can benefit from having a check-in routine. It's a small habit with life-saving potential. So ask yourself, do you have a plan in place? If not, there's no better time to start than today. Let us know in the comments, what do you do to stay safe and connected while living alone? Your tip might inspire someone else who needs it. Up next is a safety upgrade. That's simple but powerful one that can prevent some of the most common and dangerous accidents at home. Let's dive into the next essential. Being prepared for emergencies. Because when you're on your own, being caught off guard can turn a minor incident into something serious. Picture this. Edward is in the kitchen, making coffee as usual. But suddenly, he feels lightheaded. Before he can grab his phone, he collapses. With no emergency plan in place, hours or even days could go by before someone finds him. The truth is, strokes, heart attacks, and even simple falls can happen without warning. And when they do, the ability to act quickly becomes everything. That's why an emergency plan isn't just important, it's critical. The first step? Keep your emergency contacts easy to access. Time matters in a crisis, so don't rely on memory alone. Edward keeps a physical list near his phone with his doctor's number, a few close relatives, and a couple of neighbors he trusts. In his phone, those same contacts are saved with the label ICE, in case of emergency, so first responders can find them quickly. He also posted a printed health info sheet on his fridge with large, clear text listing his medications, allergies, and conditions, so paramedics have the details they need without asking. If you use a smartphone, take a minute to set up the emergency contact feature. Most phones allow emergency access even when locked. The second step is just as important. Consider a medical alert device. Your phone is helpful, but only if you can reach it. That's why Edward wears a lightweight emergency pendant. One press of the button, and help is on the way. No need to search for a phone, no dialing, just instant access to emergency responders or a designated contact. These devices are game changers. Many even detect falls automatically and call for help, even if you can't press the button yourself. They offer something priceless. The reassurance that you're never truly alone. And they've come a long way. Edward's pendant looks just like a simple necklace, easy to wear and barely noticeable. There are also wristbands, clip-ons, and even models with GPS, perfect for seniors who like walking outside or driving short distances. If cost is a concern, don't worry, help might be closer than you think. Many community and senior support groups offer free or affordable medical alert devices. Check with your local senior center or aging services department. You might be surprised at what's available to you. The next essential step? Have an emergency escape plan. Not all emergencies are medical. Fires, gas leaks, or even suspicious strangers at your door can turn into real threats without a plan. That's why Edward took the time to create a simple exit strategy for every room in his house. If a fire starts in the kitchen, he already knows which door or window to use. If someone unfamiliar knocks late at night, he doesn't answer, he gives his neighbor a quick call instead. There are a few basic safety habits every home should have. Keep a flashlight by your bedside in case of a power outage. Place a spare key in a secure lockbox outside. This way, emergency responders can access your home if you can't answer the door. And most importantly, be honest with yourself. If you had to get out of your home in under a minute, could you do it? Where would you go? Planning ahead doesn't mean living in fear. It means being prepared, being in control, and staying independent longer. So let me ask, do you have an emergency escape plan? Share your best tip in the comments. You never know who might benefit from your experience. But safety isn't just about responding to emergencies. It's also about preventing them, especially the kind that don't start with an injury. That brings us to the next tip. strengthening home security. It's an unfortunate truth living alone can make you more visible to people with bad intentions. Scammers, burglars, and con artists often assume older adults are easy targets. But the good news is, you don't have to be one of them. Edward, who's been living solo for years, takes his safety seriously, and it starts with how he protects his home. He upgraded the locks on his doors, switching to sturdy deadbolts that can't be easily forced. He also installed motion-activated lights along the walkway and driveway. Now, if someone tries to approach at night, they're instantly lit up. One of the smartest moves he made was adding a video doorbell. It lets him see who's at the door before deciding whether to answer and gives him a recording if anything suspicious happens. Even if you're not ready to install a full system, something as simple as a security camera in use sticker on your window can make a difference. Most burglars will skip a home that looks protected. And it's not just intruders at the door you need to worry about. Scams are becoming more common and more sophisticated. One day, Edward got a call from someone claiming to be from his bank. They said his account had been compromised and that he needed to confirm his details right away. The caller was calm but firm, and it all sounded legitimate. But Edward remembered one rule: never share personal or financial information over the phone. He hung up and called his bank directly. Sure enough, there was nothing wrong with his account. Scammers rely on panic. They want to catch you off guard and push you into giving away money or sensitive information. But staying calm and having someone to double-check with can stop them in their tracks. Scammers don't always try to steal money outright. Sometimes they come after your information. They might claim they're calling from the IRS and demand payment, or pretend to be a grandchild needing emergency cash. Others pose as your bank or utility provider, pressuring you to settle a bill immediately. The rule of thumb? Don't trust surprise calls or emails asking for personal details. Always verify by contacting the organization or person directly using a known number. And remember, if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. That's why Edward set up something he calls his trusted person plan. Scams often catch people off guard, but he's found a way to stay one step ahead. Whenever something doesn't seem right, a suspicious phone call, an unexpected visitor, or an email asking for money checks with someone he trusts, his nephew is his go-to. If a contractor shows up, Edward confirms their ID with a neighbor. If he receives a strange message, he ignores it until someone he trusts helps him figure out if it's real. Having someone to double-check with has saved him from more than a few headaches. Now, take a moment to think. Are you scam-proof? When was the last time you got a strange call or message that made you pause? Have you or someone you know ever been caught in a scam? Share your story in the comments. You might help someone else avoid the same mistake. While digital safety is critical, there's another danger that too many seniors overlook that could lead to hospitalization in a flash. Let's talk about one of the biggest and most preventable risks: falling. Every year, millions of older adults end up in the emergency room because of a fall at home. But the hopeful news is, many of these incidents can be avoided with just a few simple adjustments. Edward knows this firsthand. About a year ago, he tripped over a rug in his living room. One minute he was walking to his chair, and the next, he was on the floor, shocked and shaken. Thankfully, he wasn't badly injured, but it was a wake-up call. Since then, he's made smart changes to make sure it doesn't happen again, and you can too. The first step? Modify your home for safety. Your living space should support your independence, not put you at risk. Edward installed grab bars in his bathroom next to the toilet and inside the shower because slippery surfaces are one of the biggest hazards. He replaced dim light bulbs with bright LEDs, especially in spots like the hallway and stairwell, where shadows can hide steps or objects. He also cleared his walking paths, no more tangled cords or unsecured rugs. Quick tip: if you like using throw rugs, make sure they're non-slip or consider removing them altogether. They may look nice, but can easily become tripping traps. The second step is just as important. Strengthen your legs and balance through movement. Many people forget that weaker muscles are one of the biggest reasons for falls. But Edward took control. Every morning, Edward sets aside 5 minutes for light exercises to keep his body moving and his balance steady. He practices chair stand, sitting down and standing up without using his hands to strengthen his legs. He walks heel to toe in a straight line across the room, sharpening his balance. He rolls his ankles in gentle circles to keep them flexible and reduce the chance of stumbling. It's not about pushing hard or doing intense workouts, it's about staying mobile and capable. A few minutes each day is all it takes to stay strong. Edward lives by one simple rule: if you don't use it, you lose it. But even with all the precautions, accidents can still happen. That's why having a solid recovery plan is the third key to staying safe. Edward always keeps his phone within reach, either in his pocket or on a nearby table, so he can call for help if he needs it. He also wears a medical alert pendant, just in case a fall leaves him unable to reach his phone. And he's practiced what to do if he does fall. He knows to stay calm, roll to his side, and slowly move into a seated position before attempting to stand. If you or someone you care about is at high risk for falling, consider a fall detection device. These smart tools can automatically call for help when they detect a sudden impact. Now it's your turn. Have you made changes in your home or daily habits to avoid falls? Maybe you found a simple tip that makes a big difference. Share it in the comments below. Your insight could help someone else stay safe. And here's the part many people forget. Even after making your home safer and setting up check-ins, there's still one last powerful step to truly living well alone: staying socially connected. Isolation doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it hides behind silence, and over time it can quietly harm your health. Living alone doesn't have to mean being lonely, but for too many seniors, that's how it feels. The research is clear. Loneliness is just as dangerous as smoking a pack a day. It increases the risk of heart problems, cognitive decline, and even shortens life expectancy. Edward didn't think much about it at first. After his wife passed, he grew used to quiet dinners and evenings with the television for company. "I like the peace," he told himself. But over time, his energy faded. He wasn't sleeping well. The days stretched on, each one a little quieter than the last. Then, something changed because of one unexpected conversation at the hardware store. One afternoon, Edward bumped into an old friend who invited him to check out a local woodworking club. At first, he was unsure. It had been years since he'd joined any kind of group, and the idea felt a bit outside his comfort zone. But something in him said, "Why not?" That small decision turned out to be life-changing. Wherever you live, and no matter how long it's been since you've made new friends, there are always opportunities to reconnect. Edward discovered a few that worked for him, and they might work for you too. He joined a local group and found that hobby clubs, book circles, or even gentle exercise classes for seniors offered a great way to meet others. He also made an effort to stay in touch with loved ones. Sometimes just a quick call or a short video chat was enough to lift his spirits. He got involved with a nearby church and found a sense of purpose through volunteering. Even virtual communities help. Online meetups gave him a way to connect with people who shared his interests, from gardening to history talks. He came to understand that being social didn't mean being busy all the time or constantly surrounded by people. It just meant having someone to talk to, share a laugh with, or turn to when things got tough. Taking that first step can feel intimidating, but Edward was glad he did. That woodworking club became more than a pastime. It became a place of warmth and belonging. He hadn't realized just how much he missed that feeling. Now if he ever needs anything, he knows someone's just a call away. Best of all, his days feel more meaningful. His mind is sharper, and he wakes up with something to look forward to. How about you? Have you found a favorite way to stay connected? Maybe a group or hobby that brought a little joy back into your life? Share your story in the comments. You never know who it might inspire. Because here's the truth. Living alone doesn't have to mean feeling alone. One small step toward connection could change everything. Edward made a few smart changes: a daily check-in, an emergency plan, safer home setup, fall prevention routines, and staying socially engaged. Now, he feels ready for whatever comes. Which of these steps will you take today? Let us know, and if you found this helpful, consider sharing it with someone who might need it too.